Hey guys, it's Kayleigh, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would talk you through all of the books that I will possibly be picking from for the Asian Readathon. If you don't know, the Asian Readathon is a month-long readathon that runs in the month of May. I will link all of the accounts, Twitter accounts, host channels down below if I can find them. And so I have pulled all of the Asian books off of my shelf. This is definitely less of a TBR and more of a pile of possibilities because I have quite a stack of books here. But I thought I would just talk you through all of the books that I have pulled, let you know a little bit about them, and you can let me know down in the comments if any of these books are your favourites and which ones I should start with. So because I have so many books, I've decided to split this video into two sections. So in today's video, I'm going to talk you through all of the Chinese, Japanese and Korean books that I have, and then I will cover other countries in my next video. So I'm going to start with the two Chinese books that I have because there's only two of them. So the first one that I have is China Rich Girlfriend by Kwan. So this, I'm sure you all know, is the sequel to Crazy Rich Asians, which I read last year, I think. Yeah, this is super well known. It was made into a movie recently, and this is book 2 of the trilogy. The first book in this trilogy follows Rachel Chu, and she travels to Singapore with her boyfriend for the first time to meet his family because of a friend's wedding, and she realises when she gets there that her boyfriend is incredibly wealthy and his family are very well known in the Asian social scene. So fun and elaborate shenanigans ensue. This one I'm sure will be absolutely no different, and I am excited to carry on with the series. I think this one will just be a bit of a fun contrast to some of the other books that I have on my list because I think a lot of the books I have are quite heavy, so this one will be a fun little relief from that. So I'm excited to carry on with the series. I also have the third one on my shelf, but I quite like the idea of spreading them out, so I just have this one here. And then the next book that I have is Everything I Never Told You by Celestine. So this is not set in China, but it follows a Chinese American family living in 1970s Ohio. And I think one of the daughters of this family is found dead in the local lake. So I think this one is going to be a bit of a family saga, looking at the family dynamics, but also hopefully a bit of a page turner and a bit more of a thrilling read. I love anything to do with family secrets and family dramas, and the dynamics between members of a family. I really love that, so I'm excited to give this one a go. I have already read Little Fires Everywhere by Celestine and I did enjoy that one, and I know this was her earlier book, and a lot of people loved it, so if you enjoyed this one, please let me know what you thought of it down in the comments. So the next stack that I have are all Japanese books. I really do enjoy Japanese fiction. I don't know what it is, but I am just drawn to the culture, and I seem to have collected quite a few Japanese books on my shelves. So the first one that I have is Asleep by Banana Yoshimoto, and this one is actually translated from the Japanese by Michael Emmerich. So this one is actually a collection of 3 short stories, all connected to the idea of sleep. So we have 3 women. The first woman has suffers from sleepwalking. The second woman, I think, knows someone in a coma, and then she starts to suffer from narcolepsy, so she starts to just fall asleep. She can't stay awake. And then the third woman is haunted by someone else, so she keeps having nightmares about another woman. So I'm really excited to try this. I've not read Banana Yoshimoto before, and I think she is known for her like surreal writing. I think she has quite a lot of magical realism maybe in her books, so yeah, it sounds definitely like something that I would enjoy, and if I like this one then I will definitely be picking up more of her work. The next one that I have is also a very famous Japanese author, and that is Haruki Murakami, and this is Kafka on the Shore. I think this is one of Murakami's most strange novels. I've only read one other of his, and that was Norwegian Wood, which is probably his most normal of his books. So yeah, I'm really excited to try this. As far as I know, this follows 2 men. There's a young boy who runs away from home when he's 15, and then there is also an older man that he meets who I think is struggling from something that happened in his childhood, and they go on a bit of a epic journey together and encounter all sorts of strange things. I know that there is potentially talking cats in this, or that they have conversations with cats, which definitely intrigued me because I am 100% a cat person. But I'm just excited to give Murakami a go. He is just very well known, and I wanted to try him more after I read Norwegian Wood because I absolutely loved that. I should say this one is also translated by Philip Gabriel, so excited to give that one a go. The next one that I have is a David Mitchell. So this is The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. Probably not saying that right, I apologise. I have read quite a lot of David Mitchell's work. I think I've read 3 of his, and I really enjoy him as a writer. And I've had this one on my shelf for so long and I've not picked it up. I'm not going to lie, I'm slightly intimidated by this. But this is a bit of an epic historical novel. So it's set, I think, in 1799, and it's set on a small man-made island in the Bay of Nagasaki, Japan, which I think kind of acts as the gateway between Japan and the Western world. So in this book we follow Jacob, who is our main character, and he arrives here in Japan from Holland to make his fortune, and instead I think he meets a Japanese woman who I guess steals his heart and changes the course of his life a little bit. It's quite long and it's quite dense, and I think I've heard maybe slightly complex, so I am slightly intimidated, but I know once I'm into this one that I will really enjoy it, so I'm excited to give this one a go. If you've read this one and you enjoyed it, please let me know what you thought, because I might just need a little extra push to get started on this one. The next one that I have is not written by a Japanese author, but that is Leon Hearn's Across the Nightingale Floor. This one is actually, I think, a young adult fantasy novel, and it is inspired by Japanese history and Japanese culture. So we follow a young boy who is brought up in quite a spiritual, peaceful community, and one day this community, I think it's called The Hidden, is massacred and ransacked, and he is saved, he's rescued by a very high up lord. I think his name is Lord Shigeru. So this lord then takes him under his wing, and he explains about a group of people called the Tribe, and the young boy's father was actually part of the Tribe, and this is a group of people who I think are trained assassins. So it turns out that his father was a really good trained assassin and very skilled, and so the young boy starts to learn more about this. I think he becomes skilled himself and learns more about his past and his destiny. So sounds like a really fun adventure story, and I really love the idea of being inspired by Japanese culture. So I'm excited to give this one a go, and I've had this on my shelf for a very long time. And then the last 2 Japanese books that I have are both by Ruth Ozeki. So Ruth Ozeki is one of my favourite authors. I've read all 3 of her books. In fact, this is her shelf right here. So the first one that I have I'll talk about is this little guy here. So this is The Face, A Time Code. And I think a couple of other authors have done books like this as well. But essentially this is, she does an experiment where she stares at her reflection for 3 full hours, and she continuously writes down all of her thoughts that she has as she's staring at her reflection. So in this book we have sections that are literally timestamps of what she's noticing in her face when she's staring in the mirror, and then we also have sections that are, I guess, more like memoir, where she's talking about her past, maybe her memories and her experiences. So I am really, really excited to read this. I think it is just like a little mini memoir, but with a bit of a twist. So I'm very intrigued, and I'd be interested to read this and then look at which other authors have done the same thing. So yeah, I'm excited to try this, and like I said, I absolutely love Ruth Ozeki, so this is definitely something that I'd love to jump to next. And then the book that I have here by her is A Tale for the Time Being, which is probably her most well-known novel, and this is the one that I read first. So it was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize back in 2013, which is when I read this one. And when I read it back then, I absolutely loved this, and it became one of my favourite books of all time, and I tell people it's one of my favourite books. So I'm just really intrigued to see if this stands up to the test of time, and it is still one of my favourites now. This, if you don't know, is set both in Tokyo and in Canada, I believe. So we follow a woman named Ruth in Canada who finds a diary that's washed up on the shore. And this diary is of a young Japanese girl who is telling the story of her life and of her great-grandmother's life. And that young girl is Nao, and we get her perspective in the book as well. So Nao is telling us her story as she writes it down in her diary. She's, I think, maybe 15 or 16. And so she is telling us her story, but also of her great-grandmother, who I think was a Zen Buddhist. So we get that sort of spiritual edge to it as well. I just absolutely love this. I'll be honest, I don't really remember exactly what happens in the book. I just remember my feeling of having read it and it honestly just being one of the best books I'd read at the time. So I'm really excited to reread this one. I don't normally reread books, but I've suddenly had the urge to just reread some of my favourites now that I'm a bit older. So I will let you know if this stands up and it is still one of my favourites. So then, moving on from Japan, I have a couple of Korean books. So the first one that I have is The Hen Who Dreamed She Could Fly by Sun-mi Hwang, and this one is also translated from the Korean by Chi Young Kim. So this is a little short novel, and this, I believe, is a Korean fable. So it follows a hen who decides that she doesn't want to produce eggs in captivity on demand anymore, and she decides to escape her captivity. So I think it obviously is representative maybe of a lot of women in Korea. I don't know, but I'm excited to read this and to learn a little bit more about Korean culture. So yeah, I've had this on my shelf for a wee while, and this is just such a gorgeous edition. I think there's illustrations throughout as well, so I think it'll just be a really cute book to read. Maybe sit down one evening and read this in one sitting. So I'm excited for that one. And then lastly on my list I have Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This has been on my TBR cart for a few weeks and I've still not picked it up yet. So I really have no idea why, because if I did a 5-star prediction video this would definitely 100% be on it. So this is a story set in historical Korea, so we're in 1911 and we follow a young disabled girl who falls pregnant with a married man's baby, and the family face ruin because of this scandal, I guess, and so to save her she is offered by a Christian minister the chance to marry him and start a new life in Japan. So I think that's where the story takes off. I think this is going to be just an epic family saga. Again, I just absolutely love that. Family story, coming of age story of a young girl. These are just all my absolutely favourite things. And having the Korean and the Japanese culture mixed in this book, I think is just going to be really, really interesting. So I'm really, really excited to try this one. Again, if you are a lover of this book, please let me know down in the comments why I should pick this up soon. So that is everything. They are all the books that I have from China, Japan and Korea. I also, before I go, just wanted to quickly mention, I had a look on Scribd as well to see if there were any books on there that fall under the Asian category that I wanted to read that I don't already own, and I found 2. So the first one is Sweet Bean Paste by Durian Sukegawa, and this is again a really short book and I think it's Japanese. I don't know the translator of this one, sorry, but I will put it down in the description box. This one I think follows an older man who has a bit of a troubled past, and he ends up working in a little confectionery shop selling these like sweet pastries, and then he meets an older woman, and I think the story is really just about their friendship and the sort of social pressures related to their friendship as well. So I think again this one is just going to be a really heartwarming story that also talks a little bit about the culture of Japan, but also is just like a really sweet heartwarming tale. It's quite short, I think this one's only like 200 pages. So that is on Scribd if you're in the UK and you're interested. And then the second one that I've saved is The Poppy War by Rf Kwang. So this one, I don't really know much about this, but I've seen it just about everywhere on BookTube, and this is a debut novel and it is an epic fantasy, so it's very long. I think it's like over 600 pages, but it really, really appeals to me because this is based on China's history. So I think it's set in China, and I think it is based on their history, and so it covers a lot of Chinese culture, so I'm very excited about that one. So not sure if I'll pick all of these books up, but I am very excited about all of them. So please, like I've said, if you have read and enjoyed any of these books, then please let me know down in the comments, because I might just need a little bit of a push to read one of these books if they are one of your favourites. So that is everything. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!